Good evening. It's 6 p.m. Call March 2nd, March 12th, I should say. School board meeting to order and begin with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that we gather on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically the Nooksack tribe, who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin throughout the San Juan Islands and the North Cascades watershed from time immemorial. On behalf of everyone here, we want to express our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Nooksack tribe, for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Now, next is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approve the agenda. Any changes from the agenda as written? No. If not, entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Motion to approve agenda as written. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is public comments, and I see Mandy.
Well. Hi, my name is Mandy Pigeon, and I'm returning to speak about the student safety in regards to the incidents now under investigation at Harmony from this past fall and winter. I spoke here a month ago and was encouraged hearing your immediate replies at that February 12th meeting. I returned to the next meeting on the 26th, hoping to hear more about the progress being made on how this board is going to react and improve safety protocol and training throughout the district. I was quite disappointed that the issues mostly were ignored at that meeting, except for one parent, thank you, Jen, who's not here today, and Superintendent Schnankman reminding us that no one could say anything due to the ongoing investigation. The next morning, we received a district-wide letter about mental health resources. Those are great, but they're not enough. I also believe that at least one of them, and I could be wrong here, but Roots of Empathy is not happening at Harmony anymore, as far as I know. I know, or maybe it is, but I wasn't able to be sure of that. Maybe another victim of budget cuts, I don't know. Meanwhile, we continue to entrust the district with the safety of our children. Again, I'm not asking for investigation details. I want to see action. I want to hear that you are implementing ongoing education for all staff. Danielle spoke on February 12th of reaching out to Bridget Collins, and I'm curious if there's been progress on that. I want to hear how bus drivers might be supported in caring for students on their buses while still being able to drive safely. I want to hear that you are implementing a volunteer program if needed so that staff have extra eyes on the playground. I want to hear that you have extra counselor hours at Harmony to ensure that there are no other students suffering silently. There are things that do not need to await an investigation. So I ask you again, and will continue to do so, what are you going to do to keep our children safe on buses and on our playgrounds? Thank you. I have one more little thing to add from another parent. I'd like to briefly share comments from another Harmony parent who could not be here tonight. Vanessa Stevens, a parent of 2 Harmony students who have been part of the district since preschool, asked that the board remember that parents are not asking for investigation details. We're asking for transparency about the systems entrusted with our children every day, supervision, transportation safety, and communication with families when serious incidents occur. Investigations may take time, but parents should not have to wait months to understand the safeguards protecting their children right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else not signed up would like to make comments? If not, that ends the public comment section, and next is good of the order.
So I have 2 good of the order items. Both come from FFA, so I wasn't sure if you were going to talk about these at all today. Okay. So the first one is the FFA forestry team placed second out of 13 teams and 60 students at the Total Lake contest on February 28th. So we had Ray Kleinsmith coming in 5th, Jillian Harris 9th, and is it Amelia Murtek, who came in 10th. And then we also have congratulations to our Mount Baker Red and Mount Baker Black parliamentary procedure teams for placing first and second respectively at sub-districts. And our own Lito Corrado placed second in public speaking, which Todd said is the highest we've had on speaker place since the early 2000s. So congratulations.
Thank you. And next is information from student representative this time.
Yeah, I'm singular today.
And I will say that Gabby is absent and excused for the record.
Well, we really don't have much. Just some information we brought back from the student rep meeting down at the ESD. I guess mostly just stuff about advisory votes that apparently a lot of other student reps have on their own school boards, whether they're listened to and appreciated are obviously a separate thing on those school boards. But that's just something we were curious about, seeing like, oh, you know, how would we be implementing that here? What's the rules for how that like regards us and all that. And then I guess another thing that we wanted to know was just recommendations for how to get more in contact with the elementary schools. I know that was a big priority for us to do. And so really just knowing, you know, what time will work best, if, you know, there's certain dates that you want us to go that might work better with like maybe what you guys have in mind and stuff like that. And then I guess the final like biggest thing is what would the school board like to see from us? You know, we've started our own initiatives, you know, it's like surveys, putting in pride slides, but we're not sure exactly what the school board wants, what specific information the school board wants from us. You know, we're supposed to be that bridge between school board and then what happens on campus, but we're not exactly sure what you would like to see to help bridge that gap.
That's an excellent question, and I think that's one that we will mull over and certainly discuss with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
One thing I did give each of you is a copy of the student representative policy and procedure that was updated just this last fall. So if that kind of just helps spur some ideas or thoughts around some of the things that the student reps are asking for, that might be helpful.
And this is here for information purposes. We don't have this on tonight's
No,
agenda.
it was just, I wasn't sure what all.
Get a chance to read over that. So next up is our FFA presentation. You guys can take care of things. You don't need
Information from the
Are you
board.
skipping information from board?
I thought we,
Do that after.
you are right. I'm sorry. I wrote a note down here in the wrong place. Okay, sorry. Back down again. Information from board. We'll start with Danielle.
No comment tonight.
I've got a couple things on the 27th. We visited with the high school. I felt that was really good. We spent a majority of our time in the classroom of getting students ready for work or community college and work. Not necessarily a four-year college, and the stuff they were doing and the questions they had for all of us. And that was a good time and pretty enjoyable. Last Saturday was a great time at the FFA auction, a great turnout, great auction stuff. The stuff the kids prepare from the high school is amazing, and the way they work it and help out with their advisors is really good. And then it's earlier this year, on May 8th is going to be the athletic and academic night at Deming Speedway. It had to be a little earlier with scheduling conflicts with other racetracks around the area. So May 8th will be.
So that's a Friday.
Yep, will be that night. So that's all I got.
I think all of us attended last time.
Yeah.
So
We did.
we'll see what we can.
Can't believe it's been a year.
Well, it was late in the year, but it didn't work out this year, so, yeah.
I'm going to be in Pullman for my son's graduation, so
That's-
otherwise I would be there.
that's-
Brennan?
So, yeah, I was sorry to miss the FFA thing last weekend. I was in California visiting my aunt and uncle. But I heard it was a good time, so good. And next week is my second session of doing the WASDA leadership training. I think I talked to some of you guys about it, so I was awarded a scholarship to go to that, so, and then I pay for all of my travel expenses and lodging out of my own pocket, so it's at no cost to the district, which was really nice to get, and I think it's gonna be a really good cool situation, so I'm liking it so far. The visit to the high school was really fun. It was nice to have you guys with us. And to kind of not exactly answer your question, I do think that I would be really interested in getting some sort of system in place of how we can work together. I really like the idea of you and Gabby going to like PTAs and PTOs to sort of sing the praises of college and the high school so that parents will know about it and then they can then take it to their kids. And I'm one of the things that I'm looking forward to for the junior high visit is to kind of sort of figure out how we can hype college and the high school to junior high kids, because that's before they're like broken down by high school and they're still a little bit excited about college, so they might be looking forward to it a little bit more, I think. But I do want to work with you guys on that, and I know that we don't really have a very good system of who's doing what with you guys and making plans and all of that, so I mean, I will throw my hat into the ring for that. I just want to say, Manny, I don't have a lot of answers for you. I know that there are things that are happening, but like as a board member myself, I don't have that much control over it. So I'm trying to think of ways that I can make it more clear of what's going on. But I know that Jessica's doing a fantastic job getting what information she can get out there. But it's systems take time, and it's frustrating for all of us. So just know that we appreciate you coming here and talking, and you are heard, and it's processes or processing. So that's probably the most I've ever said in a meeting.
Well, now with leadership WASDA, you're gonna be,
That's right. Watch out.
you're gonna be worse than me.
I know. Tell me 10 words or less.
Yeah. Thanks for that. On that same subject, I have gone back to listen to that 12th meeting again. And I'm gonna continue to do that with the idea that I really want to kind of internalize those comments and help make that part of my thinking in our meetings and discussions so that it's top of mind and doesn't get lost in the mix. So anyway, I mentioned, I think last time that I got a letter from our WIAA rep about some upcoming votes. So she is one vote of many, and we don't really have a vote, but we can kind of share our thoughts and opinions on things. And most of the stuff is out of my area of expertise, so I shared that with Coach Lepper just to get his feedback. There was two items that we talked about. So this is going to be a little bit of a discussion. It's not just a one-way, right?
Yeah, we kind of had it, we talked about this beforehand, and normally we just have information. However, there wasn't another good place to put the advisory, our advice for your advisory vote.
Right.
In other than this part of the meeting.
Yes.
And it's timely because I think the advice, your advice is due by, was it tomorrow?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought we better just
Yeah.
carry it.
And
And
for
so
me-
this will be limited to those two items.
There's actually three.
Three,
But
okay.
and I'm not voting, I'm just gonna write a description. So one had to do with WIAA fees. There was a vote to bump those up 10% this year. And Coach Lepper did say he was gonna agree with that. So I think they have their own channel for voting on these same things with the athletic director, because it hadn't been been increased in a long time. It's overdue, and they're a non-for-profit, so felt that was needed. So I was gonna,
Is that fees, like our fees to join WIA?
yeah. I don't remember exactly what
So why don't we just take them one by one?
Sure.
So questions or comments on the the 10% fee increase?
Do we have a sense of what those fees cover, just for folks who might be curious?
Well, it's just related to the WIA and their work, so whatever, I'd imagine, all the rules and regulations around that.
I was unclear from that whether the fees were covering the WIAA organizational expenses, or they were also other costs associated with say, are paying for referees and that kind of thing.
No, that's a separate thing.
That's be as total, so that won't go up by 10%.
Correct.
It's handled separately.
Correct.
So this is just the core
Yeah.
operation. And my reading of that is the time period that since the last fee increase, inflation has been quite a bit more than 10% cumulative over that time period. So they are a bit behind the rate of inflation.
Okay. The next one has had to do, I'll just read it. Private high schools with an enrollment of 90 or more would be required to opt into the next classification. So we're a 1A school, so there's 4 divisions, right? 1A, 2A, up to 4A. It's based on your size. We're probably middle or low 1A. So what that would say is if you're a private school, whatever your division would normally be for based on your student population would get bumped up a division to make it, I guess, well, it'd be harder. He actually said he was gonna oppose that one. Just based on our experience locally. Right, it's Linden Christian's our main opponent. They're a 1A school. Experience with them is they don't recruit locally. I think that's a problem with a lot of maybe that's a problem with other schools. It hasn't been a problem locally. And they've been part of our league forever, right? There's basically 5 1A schools that we compete with. It's Blaine, Linden Christian, Meridian, Nooksack, and us, right? And like, so for example, with basketball, 2 of those 5 get a place to go to state. If we lost them, it would probably be 1 out of 4. So I don't know that it actually would help us a lot. I don't think it would change anything. And I mean, anecdotally, our football team beat LC this year, right? So my thinking, you guys know, is I always want us to do better. I'd rather raise the bar, set the bar high, and try and get there rather than lower the bar. So my thought was,
I left you out of the list here this last, I'm sorry. So I'll let you start this one on weighing in on the classifications.
I agree, I think like I was literally at the LC game that night. It was great. I think keeping them on as a competitor is just great for us and just all the other schools around us. Their rivalries and stuff that have been had for like years and years and years. So I don't think it'll benefit anybody to take those away. It adds to like the healthy competition aspect.
Other thoughts?
I agree.
So if that passes, then like Linden Christian would go up to 2A?
Yep.
And that may even happen even if we did oppose it? Or is it just by like sections?
no,
of the
it
state?
would be statewide.
Okay.
We're just using them as an example because that's our experience.
And we could continue to play Linden Christian, but not as a league game.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I wonder what other districts are thinking about that, because if it's statewide, if they don't like it, they're probably gonna vote for it, right? So,
There's probably a few
Yeah.
who go for it.
Yeah.
no, I agree. I think keeping it as it is good.
Yeah, I'll defer to you on that one. I think that to the extent there is a problem with private school recruiting, I think it's more a case further south. And so maybe there's enough districts down there that'll vote there.
Right.
Positions, but it only really applies to single A. Because the private schools are small enough, they're not generally anything bigger than.
Most of it be 1A or 2A, probably, yeah.
You had one more?
I had one more. Okay. And this is one that we talked about before. So this is, participation in girls' sports would be limited to only biological females. It's an advisory vote. Amendment would not be implemented under current state law. And I had a comment that I had prepared for that, which is pretty short. I was going to say, our school board publicly debated a similar advisory resolution. We had a thoughtful debate that included community comment. A majority of our school board voted in opposition to the resolution. Just trying to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. Does that sound, that still represents your thoughts?
I stand by that, yes. Thank you.
You didn't get a chance to weigh in last time, so last year, so.
I agree with your guys' previous vote. Yeah. Got it.
Okay, anything else that?
That was it for that, just in terms of a board comment, again, related to girls' sports on Monday. We had our first strength conditioning and training program. It was at, was it 6? I can't remember. I think it was like 6:30 in the morning on a day with no school. I thought we'd maybe have a dozen kids show up. 29
Oh,
athletes showed up.
that's awesome.
So just in terms of what that can do for a program, I'm optimistic that if those kids stick with it, it could have a pretty big positive impact.
So are you volunteering with that?
I'm an assistant to the assistant.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, the leader, Mike Hughes, he's my brother-in-law, but long history of strength training, conditioning. And then you have the volleyball coach, the soccer coach, and basketball coach, all there training with these kids, and they want to improve themselves. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
I had a few things. I attended Acme PTA meeting, very impressed with. I really love going to PTA meetings, and Acme is particularly fine PTA group. They have a $16,000 balance in their PTA funds for Acme community and Acme school. I think that's pretty remarkable. And one of the questions that we went over lots of stuff, and I won't go over that, but one of the things that the PTA members have been thinking about is how do we make the school experience more welcoming for parents and students? And I thought that was that just the fact that they're working and thinking on that is moving things in a good direction. I met with Jessica and Jatana.
Good job.
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close.
With Tex Laddish to go to do a capital projects overview as Tex is getting started in our process here. I covered a lot of areas of our capital projects needs, and he and Jessica will work together on pulling together, studying what we need, pulling together some of the other elements with the goal of, in the not too distant future, bringing a list or some, capital projects and some associated costs and possible timing back to the board for us to go through and weigh in on. So this was just sort of a preliminary discussion heading that direction, but the main action will be when they pull that all together and bring it back to the board, which will probably take several months, I think. So possibly towards the summer. I attended the 42nd District Legislative Town Hall. And I think the best we're trying to do with this, today is the last day of legislative session. And I think it'll take us at least a week to absorb and analyze the budget after the governor's opportunity to either sign or veto. And the gist of it is we're not getting anything significant as far as additional funds, and it likely to have a step back in local effort assistance, transition to K, and the bus depreciation schedule, which, as you know, Jason, is a real driver for when we can replace our buses. So, hopefully, within the next meeting or so, we'll be able to get a much clearer picture on the actual how we ended up. Joined, which was mostly me actually, joined with American Forest Resource Council to fend off threats to trust revenue that were mostly coming from the Commissioner for Public Land, his proposed legislation. But I think we did pretty well in educating the legislators, and were successful. Mount Baker school visit, wow, that was really great. We had a great discussion with the work. What do you call it? Work ready? What's
The work readiness class.
Work ready? Yeah, class. And including an interview of what it takes to be a school board member. So we were.
I'm still thinking of stuff I should have done.
And I agree with what you're saying about communicating the college and the high school. I think starting that earlier, so that I think that becomes more common knowledge. We've got it. We're putting together, I think, a really great program, and we just need to make sure that the kids are thinking of it ahead of time, so they're focusing that direction. The strategic plan steering committee meetings are going great. I think our final one of the steering committee is next Monday, I believe. And I had the occasion to go to the Mount Baker girls basketball game versus Meridian. Wow, that was the Mount Baker girls won as just about that long before the buzzer actually went off with a final basket there, and in overtime. And that's why you need a lot of people attending who are good at CPR in a game. That was a game to behold. So I give credit to all of our athletes, but it's fun to see that level of competition and dedication. And I enjoyed watching your daughter Ed, and she makes sure everybody gets the ball until they get, so the one who has the opening is going to make the best shot. And that's what really takes that teamwork. So that's a lesson that we're trying to get with our extracurricular or co-curricular activities is how do you function as a team? And that was neat to see. So you've experienced you probably haven't missed a single one, but
No, yeah.
but I think most of the athletes were juniors or younger.
Yeah, we only have 2 graduating seniors. They'll be missed, but a lot of returning players next year and a lot of optimism around that. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all I had. Next is the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then superintendent informational items.
Let's see.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to talk about is just give a little bit of a preview of what I talked about at the last meeting about policy to practice. And so that'll be at the March 26th board meeting, and placing these at this second board meeting of the month is intentional so that what's discussed in this section of the board meeting will then be what is shared with the community within our community newsletter, Mountaineer Moments. So it's 2 opportunities to make sure that that information does get out. The first policy that we'll start this process with is Mount Baker Policy 3205, sexual harassment of students prohibited. And the way that I foresee this going is doing an overview of what the current policy and procedure is, and then engaging in a little bit of questions and discussions amongst the board, just what makes sense, what doesn't, what questions do you have, and then share next steps for strengthening practice. And so that's kind of just the general, and then based on feedback from the board and from the community, we may change that. We may, we'll get better at this as we go. And so each month there'll be at least 1, maybe 2 policies, depending on the length of them. The procedure for 3205, I believe, is about 10 pages long. I promise I'll make that as painless as possible as we go through it, but it's good information and just breaking it down, how we look at that and what we need to possibly do differently. Some example next steps that have really already started. 2 weeks ago, I attended the ESD training on safe schools in action. Took one of our counselors with us, and Shannon Richardson, our operations director, because she's involved in some of the safety work that we do. And that was, it was something I was looking forward to. I got a lot more out of it than I even thought I would. There were about half a dozen school districts from the ESD there, which was encouraging that these issues and these questions are not something that are unique to just Mount Baker. And so they had law enforcement there, they had ESD professionals there, they also had Bridget Collins and CPS representatives there. And what was interesting is I know this will be kind of hard for everyone to see right now, but it's just a flow chart, which you would think would be like when to call CPS, when to call law enforcement, especially around issues of sexual abuse, and what does that look like in the schools as we're making decisions about who to call, when to call them, and taking in consideration on students' ages and the like. So really good information. And I met with Jen Lockwood, who is the Bridget Collins executive director, and we talked through, because it was such a good presentation, like this is what I'd like to bring for staff education here in our district. So we talked about what that may look like, and I'll have more information on that because we're developing dates and who would go to that. I think initially this spring it would be administrators, counselors, nurses, our home visitor, family service coordinator folks, with the eye on then how do we package that and get that out to more staff and more people that way. Some of the things that would be part of that training would be notification and communication, understanding developmentally appropriate behavior. There are things that students do that are maybe not, shouldn't be happening at school, but it's also not necessarily developmentally inappropriate. When to know and how to respond. Talking through different scenarios, kind of like what would you do, and practicing responses. And then also standardizing documentation. One thing that I've learned in the last couple months is that there's a lot of confusion between what is a safety plan versus what is a support plan. Who are those plans for? Who are those plans shared with? We need to make sure that every single building in the district is lockstep and we're using the same forms and we're using them in the same way. And so that would be definitely an outcome that we would end the school year with. So any questions about just that piece? Again, this is just a preview, but that is what I foresee happening at our next meeting.
Questions?
So going over the policy, you know, like tonight we have our board action items, it's all the policy review.
Mhm.
This is completely different
Yes.
than that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so when the board is approving policy, we often will put the procedures there too, but we don't talk about them in the board meeting. It's not something that the board approves. And so this will be an opportunity for the district to explain how we're putting those policies into practice.
Yeah, so an opportunity to highlight some of our policies that we may or may not be focusing on revising the policy, but just sort of looking at it, see how it's practiced.
In fact, there's one policy that the board is up for board consideration tonight, where one of the changes is that there will be an annual review. And so that I think this structure makes that annual review a lot easier, where we get that on the calendar and we can identify the different policies and procedures that do need that special treatment. And then also look at things that maybe we just haven't looked at recently enough. And yeah.
Other questions or comments? On the Bridget Collins training, probably about 10 years ago as a district, we worked with Bridget Collins House and had offered training that was designed for parents. And that went over quite well. I think it was pretty well attended. And so as you're doing the planning, the training this spring, that might be something to kick around with that.
That's actually something Jen and I talked about,
Okay.
just what that would look like and how we could start that back up again. I think it was 2017 when that happened, and that's not, yeah. So yes, we've done the training, but it needs to be much more frequent, and we need to bring it into our everyday way of being. Just a few other items that I want to go over. Contract negotiations with our 3 bargaining groups start next week. So PSE is March 17th. Mount Baker Education Association is set to start March 30th, and then our Mount Baker Administrative Association will be hopefully in April or May once we get through the other two. I have in front of you the draft calendar for 26-27. And I want to just make a few comments about that. Late start conferences, grading release time, a lot of those things we need to get through our contract negotiations this spring before we can finalize. But we have a lot of people asking, well, when is the first day of school? Like when needing just a little bit more information about what's going on with some of the basic dates. So what you see here is, there's definitely some areas in there where it says to be determined. My question is at the March 26th meeting, would the board feel comfortable approving kind of an incomplete calendar just for these basic dates of holidays and such? And then once we get through contract negotiations, if there's any changes, that we would update that as needed. Or we can also just wait until contract negotiations are completely done and then just do it once. But wanted to get some feedback from the board.
What's your feeling?
Do we have a sense of how much contract negotiations would likely shift some of the major dates?
I don't think they would shift the major dates. I mean, there's already what's here in terms of late starts and some of the professional development days are already part of contract language. And so that's there. But we do plan to have conversations about how we're structuring conferences. And like this last Monday, we had a non-contract day, which based off of the calendar committee is really confusing to a lot of people. It's a day that is, I think the spirit of the day is supposed to be like a grading opportunity for teachers, except they're not paid for that day. So it's something that I want us to talk about and decide, you know, is that the best structure for it? Is there a different way that we can do it? Maybe not, maybe it'll all be the same, and that's fine too, but just, I know the calendar is something people have been asking about, so this is what we know so far. And I wouldn't anticipate, you know, winter break or we did have to set the first day of school because we've got to get, you know, some things set, but the dates that you see here are pretty solid.
Yeah, I could feel fine approving it. I mean, the sooner the information gets out there, the better for everybody.
I think what you're asking is, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, my only reservation, and this just comes from the other hat that I wear, when you give folks a calendar, even in draft form, they start planning their lives around it and don't come back and look at the revision later. And so if we anticipate shifts, I might wait just so that there isn't that potential for confusion.
Would it be good if instead of like sending out a calendar like this, we just had like a list of some key dates, like first day of school,
That might be
major
better.
holidays.
Because when I see this, because this is what we see every
Yeah,
year,
you're ready to go.
it feels like this is it.
Yeah.
But the key dates framing that we're almost, 100% that aren't going to shift around, I think we could give those to folks. But with the note that this version is forthcoming, just because I don't know, I think about, it's always easier to wait just a smidge longer and have it be the accurate thing than to have people get wrong information and try to get them to come back and find out that they need to revise what they first thought. That's just one perspective, though. If you're hearing from a lot of people who really need to
Well,
know,
not a lot. I shouldn't overemphasize, like it's been like 2 or 3.
Any other thoughts?
there's all that.
Yeah, I mean, I could go either way, honestly. I don't have a kid in school, so my life is whatever I make it. So,
Yeah, there's nothing on here that says non-contract day, it just says building
Yeah.
emergency day.
Oh, I did, so in the green, I did change, because that was, again, some of the feedback were at the very bottom, there's a box that says no school end of
Oh,
trimester day,
okay,
which is a little bit more descriptive.
but there's no green boxes on the calendar.
Right, because we're still,
Negotiating,
Yeah.
I see, okay.
I think what you need to go ahead with your next stage of contract negotiations is something along the line of what you're saying. So start and stop dates, when vacation is, and the broad parameters. So just the mere fact that we have this degree of time set aside for staff development. And if those elements meet the at least tentative approval of the board, I think we should say that now. And then let you do the fine tuning. This is a draft document. We're not going to put it up on the website until it's actually until we adopt the final calendar. It's a work in progress. But if the rest of you feel like we can give that degree of go ahead, then so that would mean, that would be approving the dates of when school starts, when it ends, and when the vacations are, and then also the roughly the staff development time. Some of the details of which day would be here or there might change, but the parameters of how much time in the calendar. Does that sound good? So somebody could make a motion.
I'm not sure what you want a motion for.
Well, I'll explain it Thursday. So I'm not very clear. So what it would be to the effect of, the board gives tentative approval of the start dates for school, the end date, the vacation dates, and the broad outline of staff development time and planning time.
It's a mouthful. See what I can do. Okay. Motion to approve, tentative approval of start and end dates for school and vacation days and no school staff.
Staff development and planning.
And planning.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. It's really
I should have
embarrassing with the parliamentary procedure kids in here.
This is beautiful. Well, we got, yeah. This will be a lead in for you guys.
I can do it. We can do a demo later.
Maybe they need to give us a training.
I should have had you.
Yeah.
Okay, I just have one other item. Just a quick update on staffing and budgeting. Since our last meeting, we've used the 1,327 enrollment number for initial staffing, which means we're looking for about $715,000 worth of budget reductions. I've been meeting with MBEA and PSE to discuss this staffing, but keep in mind that that number is our initial number. Depending on what happens with contract negotiations, there may be additional things that considerations for that budget. One decision that I have made is that the HR position that I think we only had it posted for about a week, decided to do some more internal restructuring. The HR position is not a new, well, it's a new position, but not a new FTE. With Bridget Rossman retiring, that's a replacement of her FTE. But got some new plans, a lot of moving pieces, but a lot can change between now and the start of the school year. But we do need to get a budget together before then. I do anticipate, though, that by the next board meeting, I will bring a resolution for a reduced education plan, because we are dealing with a reduced education plan. And so just have that in place as we get ready for what's coming. Okay.
Any further questions? So now it's FFA.
Oh, there I am, sorry. Zoom gives me nightmares. So you can use these arrows.
Okay.
Right arrow.
Right.
Good morning, or good evening, afternoon. I already messed them up. We're the Mount Baker FFA, for those who don't know. And today we're here to give you our chapter update. To introduce ourselves, my name is Mikkel Fairbanks. I'm the current FFA chapter president.
My name is Ruth Cranborn. I'm the chapter secretary. So, yeah. So we're gonna go over all of our chapter activities, everything that we do in our school. So first, we'll start off with livestock showing. We have a good population of students that show animals through FFA. We take members to Puget Sound Junior Livestock to show their pigs. The Linden Fairgrounds for Northwest Washington Fair in August. They show a range of different animals such as cows, hogs, lambs, goats, horses, and chickens each year. And students also average a profit of about $1,000 a pig.
These are our career development events. As you can see, we have agriculture, mechanics, employment skills, forestry, environmental natural resources, parliamentary procedure, prepared public speaking, extemporaneous public speaking, veterinarian science, and trap shooting.
Some of our results from the past year at state, and then also coming up into this year, we had our parliamentary procedure team placed fifth last year at state, ENR placed 5th, Vet Science placed 7th, Ag Mech placed 2nd, and for our current school year, we had Vet Science placed high at Stanwood, Ag Mech placed 1st at our first competition that was hosted here. We also had one of our hardest competitions to date for Ag Mech. We placed 5th. Forestry placed 2nd. Vet Sciences placed really high as well at Mount Si and Mount Vernon. We had a 4th place Cedar Crest Employment Skills, Joseph, good job. We also had 6th place at District Trap Shooting. In Employment Skills, we also had Joseph place 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently, just last night, we placed 1st and 2nd at sub-districts for Parley, and Lita placed 2nd for prepared. We also, one of our activities that we do is agricultural mechanics. So that consists of welding, construction, hydraulics, small gas engines, concrete, electrical, skid steer, surveying, topographical maps, and legal descriptions. And we have a large amount of students that competed this year. And district is on Monday, March 16th at Stanwood, and state is at Yakima in March 26th.
Next is employment skills. So with this, students are practicing some leadership skills by focusing on practicing their job interviews, their resume, their cover letters, telephone job offers, job applications, and follow-up letters in order to help them better succeed later on in life. Our participants, we had a shorter list, but all very eager to learn. Next is forestry. So it consists of tree and tool ID, disease and pest management, compass course, map interpretation, timber cruising, chainsaw and parts ID, and troubleshooting, and the general knowledge test. So far, they're doing pretty good. Whereas Reitmeyer would also like them to do better, but we have high hopes for them, as some of them have been showing great progress during their practices, and hope for the best as they want to keep winning us in first place. Environmental natural resources, one we started doing last year from I can't remember the last time we did it before that. It was a while ago though. It consists of a general knowledge test, water quality and problem solving, GPS, soils, wildlife identification, waste management, and a team activity. Three of the people who participated in it last year graduated, so we got a new team together. We're hoping to get better than 5th, maybe 1st, in order to compete nationally.
One of our very interesting events that we do, parliamentary procedure, which honestly is surprising that we have this many kids doing it. It's essentially the high school or the Mount Baker High School version of a debate team. We have 15 students this year, which I think is the most we've had in I don't know how long.
Ever.
We're given a main motion related to FBA activities. You have to complete all the motions in 11 minutes. Each student signs one of 28 motions. They have to memorize every single one in case they have to do it on the spot. They have to debate. You have to know Robert's Rules of Order, essentially front to back. And you have to do a test of like general knowledge from parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Order. You get oral questions and you have a team's problem solving activity in the state finals. And yeah, we have a really awesome 2 teams this year. They're really promising and we're excited to hopefully, well, we are going to go to state, but it'll be really fun.
Next is prepared public speaking. For this, you're gonna give a 6 to 8 minute topic on any agricultural matter. You're gonna memorize it and present it to, I don't know if there's a specific amount of judges, but this year by districts, it was 3. Answer questions about the topic after you're done, and you are supposed to want to pretty much have all the knowledge surrounding your topic, so that way you're better prepared to answer questions you may get about it, and to better help like make a better speech, because like I feel if you have better background knowledge on something, you're able to further use that information to continue on to what you're saying in your speech. We only had 2 members this year, and one of them are going to district.
Yeah.
Next is extemporaneous public speaking, which you're gonna draw 3 topics on agriculture and select one. You're gonna have 30 minutes to prep and prepare for a speech that's supposed to be 4 to 6 minutes long. Again, like prepared, it'll be judged, and then you'll have questions to answer to follow up on it. You're during your research, you're supposed to get all the information you could need to answer the question you're given, and then also like be able to cover the bases of what when you give your presentations of what you might lack of like answers related to various sub parts of your speech or big facets of it. We had one competitor. Yeah, go on.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Good job. I like that. I got to judge it a couple of times a few years ago, and it was so much fun. It was really cool.
So for the 30 minutes, you get to check Wikipedia?
Well, you can't use like the AI overall summary. Like that's at least something that strongly advised against. So you get 10 minutes to look at anything on the internet. Other than that, you have to have 5 different sources of your own. You can bring like newspapers, like books, textbooks, just any other source you get that's written. You get to make a little handbook of resources that's either 50 pages front to back or 100 pages single sided. So you just get to make all your own stuff and then be prepared for any topic you draw out of the hat. I got water conservation, agriculture. That was really helpful.
Well, that's a timely discussion topic for our county.
Yeah, that was a lot of questions.
And then our last activity competition that we do in our chapter is veterinary science, which is a really, really interesting and fun thing. I think we have 3 teams this year. We have 2 teams this year. You have case studies on small and large animals. You have a general knowledge test and a math, like different math tests as well. It's on agriculture, parasite, equipment, breed, and ID. And you have clinical and handling practicums on restraint techniques and technician work, so like blood draws, injections. And you have a team activity, so it's a 15-minute presentation. You have to, I think you get 30 minutes to prepare a presentation. You have like an issue that you have to deal with, which this year it was, I think, what was it this year?
It was enrichment of like rodents and enrichment of animals in a rodent lab research setting.
Sorry. But yeah, so, and then I'm just gonna like kind of close off like this one section of our presentation when it comes to activities or career development events and leadership events. These all generally target a specific like job or area in agriculture that you would go to, or like our speaking events or employment skills. They're like general, like honestly, I encourage anybody to go, or any student to go through those, just because they'll help you throughout your entire life. But these events are really helpful for students who want to go into mechanics or go into trades or become a vet. Like it's very specific to those as well.
The enrichment of rodents, I do that a lot in the domestic setting, more than I like.
Yeah. We also want to talk about community service. We had a food drive this year that went really well. We partnered with the elementary schools as well, which was really great. We had pumpkin decorating for the Spring Creek Retirement Home, We had a new thing that we did this year at our winter social, which was tie blanket making. It was really awesome. We gave some to students and flood victims in Sumas from a grant. We also had the Deming Log Show cleanup that's coming up in April, Easter egg hunt, which is also coming up, and we also might be doing Rome Grange cleanup. We also have tree bagging for Whatcom Farm Forestry on Saturday, and we also are going to do the Farm Bureau dinner. Also, our involvement, we actually have an amazing involvement this year with only 2 ag teachers. We have 87 members, which are equally divided to both the genders, and that's from 9th to 12th grade. And it's almost 20, I think it's like 19.99% of our entire high school, which is great.
Mhm.
Barn projects this year, we have 4 sows. We had 37 pigs born on site this year, 41 pigs in all at the barn. 15 students will use the barn this year. We got a $30,000 FA foundation grant to update equipment in 2024 for a larger livestock scale, showing and fitting supplies, outdoor calf hutches and panels for outdoor sheep and goat pens, and an ultrasound machine that students can now use.
Wow.
For the FFA grant update, we received 40,000 from the FFA Foundation grant this year, and 15 new laptops for students to use in mechanics and fabrication to build and design products. Vet science simulators are coming in April. Cattle
Dystocia.
simulator, difficult for I'm guessing simulating difficult birth. Cattle reproductive assembly is AI techniques and pregnant checking. A horse simulator for blood draws and injection practice, and dog bandaging limbs for first aid practice.
This will help because normally we do everything on stuffed animals, so this is really fun. Miss Davis is probably really, really excited about this.
Some upcoming events, we have vet science, ag mech, forestry, environmental, natural resources. Districts for parliamentary procedure and prepared public speaking is going to be held at Mount Baker on March 31st. The Mount Baker Forestry CDE on Saturday on March 14th in Acme. The state convention is May 13th through the 17th at Washington State University, and you can check our website or social media for more information on upcoming events.
Any questions?
Good question.
No question, I think it's great.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I was in doing my homework for the thing on Monday. I was looking at job projections for Washington State, like through 2033. If I'm reading it correctly, I mean, there's a lot of information on there, but one of the highest percentages of job increases is in veterinary sciences. So I'm happy to see that we have something like that here. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
I want your excellent presentation, both the material that you've covered and all the activities that collectively that you've been doing. And the format, I think, the format that it's very clear presentation. I love all your pictures. You really, you've got 1,000 words in each picture, basically, I hope you get opportunities in your community service to kind of give some of the information that you're probably not going to come with a PowerPoint, but help people understand what FFA is all about and some of the opportunities that you've had and where it might lead you, because I think that's great public outreach for everything that you've been able to do.
Everything looks super practical. I mean, these skills that you guys are learning are gonna help in so many different ways. And this is, I feel like it's such an important part of education beyond what we learn in the classroom. Like this is awesome. The chainsaw parts ID in troubleshooting caught my eye. I would have loved to have the class on that. It could have saved me a lot of trouble, but this is all awesome stuff. So I'm really proud of you guys. Proud of everyone. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, I do a lot of chainsaw repairing in a wood not a non-shop location. But yeah, and I think too, as we're putting together redoing our district strategic plan, one of the driving elements is the profile of a Mount Baker graduate. And I think the qualities imbued in the activities and the teamwork in FFA are an essential part of what at least how I see what are the qualities of a Mount Baker graduate. And so I think you've really demonstrated that well. And the FFA program as a whole over the years has continued to do so. And I thank your advisor too for that leadership and the continuity of FFA, keeping the program strong.
We've had community members come and speak to us over the years who were students in this FFA program and have now gone out into the world 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, and they come back to tell the board what a powerful impact it's had. And as I listen to you talk about the things that you're doing, my brain is lighting up like, oh, the studying and the preparation for having to give an impromptu speech or one that you've already prepared for. And I'm having flashbacks of prepping for my own examinations to get my master's degree. I mean, the kind of work that you guys are doing is setting you up for so many other areas of success in your lives that you don't even know yet, but you're going to keep seeing it pay out. And I'm telling you, we hear people constantly coming back and telling us that investment in FFA was one of their most cherished things that they look back on as setting them up in all sorts of aspects of life moving forward. And so I'm just excited to see the incredible work that you're doing. I'm always really proud of our FFA students and appreciative to their leadership. You just always so impressive. So keep up the good work. And thank you for a great presentation.
Great slideshow. I see a fair bit of it with my own eyes, so the slideshow didn't do it justice of what you guys do, but it was very good. You think of FFA, you think of the animal part, but I think people don't understand the baiting and all the skills, life skills that you learn that some people think are going away in life. And so I'm glad to see that Mount Baker has a lot of kids that are still doing it and other schools. Two great advisors and a really, really good booster club that helps you guys out. And I think it's a great thing and it's pretty cool to see.
When does the plant sale start?
It's not FFA directly, student industries, it's end of April.
Okay.
Tammy would know. I'm usually on the road. I usually can't even go to it because I'm not here, but I want to.
Yeah.
Okay, plant sale is like May 1st is a Friday, and then I think it's the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, leftover day. Well, actually, no, it's not a discount day.
Anything to add, Lita?
All I can say is that if a version of me from 3 years ago tried to apply for this position, I don't think I would have gotten it. The version of me post-parliamentary procedure, that's the version of me that's here now. So I think that says enough, really.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know if it's okay for me to speak, but her debate last night was like jaw dropping. I mean, I have it on video. I gave it to them on Google Classroom for YouTube, but I'm just like, I don't give very many perfect debates and still didn't, but we can get more closer to that, so it was.
Yes, please share, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I don't know if they want me to send it out to everybody, but where we can.
You send it.
President.
On her, one of her scorecards, one of the judges gave her a 97 out of 96. I checked their math,
Oh.
and they were right, like, they didn't miscount. So she got 101% on one of the things. I was like, that's not right. Like, you know, it just shows that she really
There's
is.
a few rookie judges.
That's a great time.
I heard that.
And did I hear correctly that March 31st is district parliamentary procedure here?
Yeah.
And if board members want to come
Yeah.
and watch, I would love to get schooled.
There, you know, several years ago, I think Ed and I think Russ, obviously Russ was on board, but.
I didn't learn anything.
Like if there was any time, like parliamentary procedure between now and state, a 10-minute demo, if that fit into the schedule, we'd be open, but you guys, I know, have a full schedule.
Wonderful.
But if you're not able to do it, that would be a great opportunity to, if you wanted to be interested in that for districts.
Yeah, that'd be fun to come see.
Speaking of which, 9th grade
Well,
orientation is coming up.
Thank you for coming.
Hold on.
One more thing.
Oh
One
my
more
God.
gotta talk about it.
I'm sorry, I should have been more clear, louder, I was gonna say 9th grade orientation is coming up and we're preparing, or I guess this is kind of partially ASB too. We're preparing the infographics for the little activity fair for the incoming freshmen, and we're hoping to get a lot of people interested in these different events. So we're preparing like little infographics for people to come get and then like take a look at the stand and then like come talk to us about why you might want to join like these different clubs and activities like FFA in order to help yourself succeed and like have a great time in high school. So something we're hoping goes well.
Great.
That's all.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
So, you're done, Todd? Okay. Next up is board action items, policy review. Start with Mount Baker Policy 2108, Learning Assistance Program.
So the Learning Assistance Program, or commonly referred to as LAP funds, so when we hear different budget reports and they talk about LAP funds, that's, these are some of the policies that govern how we use that money. The update here is primarily around putting this into alignment with current state law, but also incorporating what's called the WISIF, which is the Washington Integrated Student Supports Framework, and clarifies that we can, if we do use outside services for this, how much money we could use for that and what kind of checks we need to do within those outside organizations in terms of what they're doing for students. One of the things that I appreciate most in this is that the previous guidance on this was that we could only use this for students who needed help with English language arts or mathematics. And it's now just not meeting students who are not meeting academic standards in a variety of ways, which even means that we could use it for helping students with attendance or behavior, or there's a myriad of things that get in the way of students performing academically. And so that's how we can use money this way. This year, the district received $651,000 in general LAP funding and about $250,000 in LAP high poverty, which similar, but is restricted to students who are also high poverty as well. I don't know if we want first readings tonight or first and final, but
Well, I think, were there any questions on this one?
No, I mean, it's all RCW related, right? So,
Fair amount of it.
yeah.
We're complying with changes, and I read through this and thought it was ready for first and final, but is that,
Feel good about that?
then I would entertain a motion to that effect.
Motion to approve Mount Baker policy 2108, first and final reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is Mount Baker policy 5011, sexual harassment of district staff prohibited.
So this updates our sexual harassment policy for staff. This is different from the policy that is more directed towards students that we'll talk about at our next meeting. The revisions clarify reporting responsibilities, and then the main difference is that on the second page, there's an additional list of protected groups that we need to keep in mind as there are reports of any discrimination. But again, this is all in line with updated policy or law.
Questions on this one? This one I was also felt that was ready for first and final reading acceptance. We have a motion to that effect.
Motion to approve policy 5011, first and final reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mount Baker policy 6114, gifts or donations.
So this is just one small change to the policy, increasing the dollar amount. This was at the request of Gaetana Jensen, just so that when we do get donations, if it's under $5,000, we can at least deposit that into the district banking accounts. Still, everything comes to the board. You're still informed. It's just we're not hanging on to that prior to board approval to deposit it.
I will note that it retains all of the language protecting that any donation or gift must be in the district's best interest, and that any donation of real estate, no matter how low in value, must be approved by the school board. And that's in great part to avoid us accepting a Superfund site at zero. It's a very important protection.
Yeah.
So any
I have one minor adjustment under unsolicited gifts or donations to the district. In the first sentence, money or additional supplies and equipment donates. Should be donated. Under unsolicited gifts. The donations to the district.
Russ, have we ever turned down a donation?
If you ever have questions.
That's a good question. I can't recall, so.
Have any what?
We ever turned down a donation?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Nothing's typing on.
But I think having this as a policy is essential. Just,
Sure.
you know, there's always that chance you can get.
I also had a recommendation for gifts to staff, that we cross-list a couple of other RCWs at the bottom of the page that are directly, they're literally Washington State employees are prohibited from accepting gifts. And it is the part that talks about the $50 limit that we referenced in the earlier part of the document. And I've got those RCWs listed if you want me to.
You want to send it to me?
Send them to you, Tammy. Yeah, I just thought that might be helpful because it talks specifically about the gifts to staff. So if staff want to look at that. Exact legal language for reference.
I would expect that to show up in procedures
In procedures,
with the limits and that kind of thing.
yeah.
What was the question?
You have a question?
No, what
Okay,
were you
then,
guys talking about?
I was recommending cross-listing a couple of additional RCWs that speak directly to some of the language in our policy
Oh, okay.
about
Yes.
employees
So
accepting
I think
gifts.
that's what you're recommending with that.
That we just add a couple additional RCWs in our legal references list at the bottom of the page.
So why don't we do that and we'll bring this one back
Yeah.
at the next board meeting.
Okay.
So people can look at those if
Yeah.
they, yeah.
Yeah.
And I only bring that up because I've gone through that ethics training as a Washington State employee. And those specific RCWs are part of what we're referencing in our policy, so it seems important to have.
So we can accept this for first reading. We don't need to vote on that. Just bring it back after we've got that clarified. Next up is my Baker Policy 6220, bid or request for proposals requirement.
So this update revises the district's procurement policy to reflect current state and federal purchasing requirements. It clarifies bidding thresholds, outlines procedures for purchases made with federal funds, and strengthens documentation and compliance standards for district contracts. When we met earlier this week, Russ, I know I had said I was going to check with WASDA to double check the RCWs on this, and I apologize. I didn't get that done before tonight.
Is what now?
I was gonna double check the RCWs,
Oh, okay.
which of them had changed with this, and I didn't get a chance to do that yet. But this does come from what WASDA that's keeping it up with what is changing with the RCWs. It just wasn't noted in blue here for what was different.
So do you think that that's necessary for us to?
I'm comfortable with it as is, but if you guys want to wait till the next meeting, we can update you with that.
It's just changing amount.
Yes.
And the RCWs are in here, it's just not pointed which ones are the
Yes.
new ones.
Right.
Wouldn't be adding.
So if I added in it, it would be blue, so
Right.
I'm assuming there wasn't any in Wadsworth's deal.
You could add it as a clerical amendment. With that, entertain a motion for first and final reading for Mount Baker Policy 6220.
Motion to approve Mount Baker Policy 6220, first and final reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then last, we have Mount Baker Policy 60. I'm not taking my glasses back on. 6570, property and data management.
Okay, so this is just a few updates as well. This is an example of one where the policy says specifically the board will review the data management program annually. So this would be an example of something that gets put into the regular rotation. And so what the other parts that it's taking out some things that I think was maybe putting maybe a difficult thing to actually enact and make, or some of the things in here were not very practical, like deciding that a randomly selected 10% of these inventories
Yeah.
maybe double checked versus everybody's going to keep an inventory list. I mean, so it simplifies it, and I think is going to make it easier for us to review on an annual basis.
So the main change in practice for the board is an annual review.
Mhm.
Something that we have not done on a systematic basis.
And so it's like is it building administrators that keep track of all of this? And then,
Typically at the end of each school year, and I haven't experienced the end of the school year here, so I'll need to find out what the practice is here. But before a teacher can check out at the end of the school year, they have to submit a number of things, one of which is the inventory of things in their classroom. And so it's just something that we keep track of. Tammy also supports us with the surplus lists and other pieces of management and our inventory. And then as I'm working with technology and with our maintenance and operations, this policy is helpful in terms of making sure we're keeping track of things out there.
Anything that's a tangible piece of equipment, no matter how it's used.
so it's just reiterating what we already do and then adding that the board will review it.
Right.
annually, which it's already reviewed annually by you guys anyway, but then we'll just double check.
So, yeah, so it's the data management aspect as opposed to not the property management, but the data management that we will be reviewing. Any other questions? If not, this one I would suggest approving from policy 6570 for first and final reading.
Motion to approve policy 6570, first and final reading.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. So we're upcoming events, our next regular meeting is March 26th and not on this list, but I did mention all before March 16th, next Monday is our last, oh, here it says March 23rd.
Oh, that's a typo. It should be the 16th.
That should be the 16th. So, Tammy, we should probably change that in the minutes in case some people are checking it retroactively.
I will change that.
Or in the board agenda, I should say. And then there's the Mount Baker Junior High School visit and the Kendall Elementary site visit. So junior high on the 27th of March and Kendall on the 24th of April.
Oh.
And I will miss both of those.
They did a swap on us.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, okay, good.
Do they
It was
both,
because elementary conferences are the week of the 27th, and so Kendall and then junior high conferences were when it made sense to swap.
Okay.
do we have a time for those Kendall? I have them at like 8:30, one at 8:30 and one at 8.
Kendall's at 9:30 and
9:30.
Acme's at 9:30.
The junior high is at 8.
Kendall's at
Guys are
8:30.
killing me.
Kendall's at 9:30.
So Kendall's at 9:30?
And get your piece of paper out, it's right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can look at it.
And I think on your, you should have, I'll double check to see if you guys have calendar invites on that. Roll out, can we send calendar invites for those of you who have them?
Well, the last item is executive session. The board will recess into executive session for 90 minutes to discuss the performance of a public employee and to discuss collective bargaining negotiations per the RCW. No action will be taken following the executive session.
These ones are right. In my calendar.
We'll recess and into executive session now, but let's sign documents before we take off.